Yeah, we go in. Just this weather, man. Every 5 seconds, I'm thinking. I walk down here thinking, perfect. You sit outside. By the time I get here, it's raining again. And now, talking about weather, which you've done this already, December 2021. Big event down at Carraig Eden, the sleepover, great success. What's your memory of that? Do you feel that there was things achieved? Were you surprised by the interviews and people you spoke to?
It was a great event. It was they call it the sleepout, and it was a great event. We had a few musicians, and thank you very much. We had a few musicians, and we had a few of the clients of Tiglin talking to me. And there's some of the people from Salesforce as well. Salesforce are a big drive behind the fundraisers.
So they're matching people's donations.
They're matching people's donations. So for everybody, every pound or euro that goes in, they match it. So they raised quite a lot. If I remember correctly, it's around the 20 or 30,000 last year. But I need to double check that. But this year I noticed that already about 10,000, and they haven't done the sleep out yet. Now what was really interesting was the people that talked to me, the most memorable was the clients.
Right.
They really had fantastic stories to tell, a fantastic story of of resilience and coming the other end of it. So they're integrating with the community. So quite a few of the people that are in Tiglin at the moment are integrated with our community, working in the shops we all frequent. And that was one of my main questions to them. It was, what do you want us to do? What do you want the Greystones people to do for you? What is the thing? And simply all they said, they would like people to acknowledge them. That's all they want. They just want to be part of the community. So for us, sometimes walking past the big blue house, as some of them call it, just overlooking the cove there, and we just kind of tend to ignore it. It's a lovely house, tend to ignore it. And I'm talking for myself now. Now, what has happened since 2021? The coffee shop there has been a fantastic success, and it's bringing in a lot of new people to the community. So they have saunas, and you have your swim, and you go for a coffee. But what is lovely is the people from Tiglin are working in there, so they're very much face to face. Everybody knows their names. They're just serving coffees and so on. So there's been a great change, I think, and I do some work with Tiglin, but I don't know enough about him other than the work that they're doing. I think it's really proving to be very successful.
Well, I'm not sure whether it's Aubrey, the founder, or Phil, the CEO, would be the bear in the big blue house, but they certainly are very actively pushing forward with huge programs that have been an enormous help to people in both Carraig Eden, but then also Green and down Ashford and beyond. So that idea that there's great work being done is very kind of, it's very satisfying and it's great to know. But I guess there's also the bigger problem is those who haven't found shelter yet, those who haven't got that leg up or that sort of hand to sort of, help them up into a better life. And that's something that I it's hard to even talk about because, it's somewhat shameful that there are people out there who just haven't had that sort of help. I don't know whether that was something that people who had been there could sort of enlighten you a little bit about.
Yeah, so they were talking about that. As I say, some of the people have gone through, addiction is one of the main reasons. Yeah. However, what is interesting this year, Salesforce, that as I say is one of the main drivers, as many other tech companies out there are finding things quite difficult, so they're having major job cuts. Okay? So that's going to bring a different angle to the whole thing because again, we always associate homelessness with addiction and them and us. I'm talking about myself, middle class man. Yeah. But there isn't a them and us, and it can happen to anyone. And I think that's homelessness, especially in Ireland. I think it's been proven that now the economic homelessness is a serious drive. It's a serious issue, and I'm not suggesting in any way that the job cuts in Salesforce will bring people to homelessness, but those traumatic events are the trigger, and that's what a lot of the people I spoke to that night, and I'm hoping to talk to a few more people on Friday night, both clients and Salesforce and anybody else is there. It's that trauma that sometimes triggers a series of events, and before you know, you can end up on the street, and that is a problem. That is a problem. The biggest problem then is how do you get out of that cycle, because it's a cycle that thankfully I haven't experienced, but I had the opportunity to talk to a few people that have experienced it. and it's really hard to get out of it. And that's what I'm hoping. What I would like to do, so they asked me to MC, a presenter, whatever you want to call it again, because the last year it worked out really well. And really what I'm hoping to do with, again, this year is to get all the different perspectives on us walking past it. What do we feel? What do we feel we can do to help? And it's, money is important, but it's not the only thing. And as I say, the majority of people, all they wanted was for us in the community to acknowledge, to be able to have a conversation that is this extremely normal conversation like you and I are having now, without having the barrier of the accent. You know, sometimes the accent is you know, we speak slightly different, and I don't include myself in this because of my weird accent, but you know, Greystone's accent versus an inner city Dublin accent is different, and that straight away creates a barrier.
I would certainly feel that the people who are in Tiglin are certainly on the road to recovery. I would hope most of them, if not all of them, will find, you know, their life becomes so much better and so much easier. I always think that I kind of feel with their, you know, having a good shot at a good life, is the ones who are not anywhere near there, that are just living on the streets and all that. I think that when it comes to donations and it comes to, you know, just in any way, shape or form, being able to help, I think financially for most people is certainly the first way and the easiest way to do it, because trying to get involved and trying to become, you know, part of the solution is a very, very difficult challenge. Governments, councils and all that have faltered and fallen at this challenge. So I would think for the everyday person, as much as it's wonderful and it should be the case that, you know, you welcome everybody that lives in your town, I think the actual organisations that are doing something outside of government, outside of, they're the ones that you kind of need to donate to, and people like Tiglin certainly have a knock-on effect. Their help helps others to sort of see there's a way out and a way forward. Yeah,
and I think that the thing that really struck me last time, both the time I interviewed Aubrey in the theatre, we did a one-to-one in the theatre, he was running for the Shannon at the time, and the conversation with the clients, it's the difference between a house and a home. That's just really, it never really occurred to me before, because I always had a home. But sometimes when we get lost, we talk about a house, you know, you need a house. No, a house is not enough. A house is a temporary solution. So a lot of these people have a house at the moment, they live in Tiglin, fantastic, but they need a home. And a home is a different thing. It's something that, you know, it's your community, it's your family, it's everything that we can call a place a home. So that was really quite striking. What was really interesting, some of the people that came along, there was Paddy Casey and Ronan Snoddock and a couple other musicians came along, and even the conversation with them, it was interesting how they too were, well, Paddy specifically, he was at, you know, he was at a crossroad at one point where he said to me, I could have ended up here, you know, and I was simply asked a question about music and how he got into music, and that was his way out of the path he was heading down. So I think what I'm hoping to do with the event is to create that space that everybody can talk freely about and can listen to each other freely about what it is and what it isn't, and not so much just talk about homelessness in that way, but also for the guys that are in Tiglin to listen to the person in Salesforce that decided to do this and what is out there for them, because, you know, nobody's stopping any Joes or any Jane in there to go and work for Salesforce. So that's the other side of it, which I'd like to explore with them.
And we'll move on, because I don't feel, you know, qualified to really, you know, discuss an issue that's so difficult for a lot of people. But you can see that probably every day there's that story has been played out. You know, you look at Paddy Brecknott's Rosie, you look at the work of Ken Loach, that thin line between having a home and having a place to stay, and landlord jumps the rent or the landlord wants to sell, and suddenly you fall between the cracks of needing emergency accommodation, and then you slip further because that doesn't work out. So it is a really cruel situation that's happening to a lot of people. So here's hoping people like Tiglin just give inspiration, but also I think ultimately there has to be real help on the ground floor, which is happening. But we'll move on to Social Fabric. We're going to be coming back to the whale. This is a very different subject, of course. It's from couch to eternity, so you're kind of looking at the world, which is probably a big part of Greystone's world, between the swimming, healthy food, certainly running is a big part of it.
Yeah, so this is going to be my 10th or 11th show in the whale. So yeah, since I started a couple of years ago, I've had quite a few, and what I've been picking the very first one was about sea swimming. That was 2.5 years, maybe 3 years ago. and I just pick a subject that interests me and I'd like to know more about it, and then go find the experts to talk about it. So this one, I was running one day. I love running, but then when I was running, I thought I love running, but I know a lot of people that hate running, including most people in my family.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, but is it really that good? I love it, and it's a great thing for me. So, but is it really that good for all of us? And what is it about that gets 20, 30 people every morning on the seafront at 6 in the morning and when it's raining, what have you? So I thought, and I've seen evidence of the benefits.
It's vanity mainly, isn't it?
It's which?
Vanity.
It's totally vanity,
Right,
and it's all about the clothes.
Sure,
It's specific about the clothes.
It's for your Instagram feed. Otherwise, what do you do?
Absolutely. Unless you have the right gear, you shouldn't be running.
If you don't run and nobody sees it on Instagram, that's a tree falling in the woods, man. Nobody saw it.
So I thought, looking around, I thought, Jesus, so many of us that run, so many of us that love it. However, as always, I like to know the other side of it. So Couch to Eternity is because you keep hearing these things, from couch to 5K, from couch.
Yeah.
And I always found anything like that very constrictive. Like you have to do it. It's almost like you have to do it, especially this time of the year, January.
Sure.
Get up and do something. Well, what I found solace in the running is doing it my way, which is just go off and run with my mates and enjoy it, and not just wondering what else is out there, what else can be out there for people that might be interested in running, or people that are really running and want to go the next step. There's a wonderful sense of achievement to do a marathon. It's one of the worst things I've ever done. I've done a few, I hate them. But it's really hard to express how once you've run those 42.5 kilometers, whatever it is, 42.1, it's just so hard. And yes, you finish, you go, wow, that's something. So what I'm hoping to do, I'm going to have 2 coaches and hopefully a computer data analyst that has taken a huge amount of data from all this Strava, WhatsApp, everything, and is compounded into interesting data on how good, bad, and different running is. So I'm hoping to give enough information from the experts on what is this running all about, and how, if you want to get into it, what should you do. If you don't want to get into it, absolutely fine. What else is out there that would be as good as running, Because I think, whether it's Greystones or anywhere else in the world, we do know that it's important to get out there and get a bit of fresh air and do something. You don't necessarily have to run. You could walk, you can do anything, but I just like to hear from the experts, and I notice people around the town, and because I'm out all the time, like you are, you see people and you see their body shape changing over months, which is fantastic. And
I joked about that, but I do think that is the endorphins you get from the actual physical fitness is huge, and I think that's for the swimming, for the running, for anything, for weightlifters, all the rest. There's this beautiful kind of feeling. It's a drug of a different sort that you feel very natural and very good about. But then, of course, if you are fit, the benefits are that you're going to look a lot better than you might have looked when you weren't fit, and that again feeds itself into just a good feeling, which I think is the core of it for everybody. Is that absolutely health is number one, but then it doesn't hurt that you look better. That you look, you're isn't a squeeze to put that old pair of trousers on and all the rest. So I would think that must be quite a big part of people's desire, just to sort of maintain it, like that they're not going to get to that point where they just feel they can't enjoy life.
And I think what I like to portray in that, and like with all the shows that I do, is very much audience participation, and it's all about asking questions of the people, the experts on the stage. All I do is I'm the conduit between what's in my head, what I hear from other people, and let them have the stage. But I think it's that community thing. So just come along, even if you're not into running. You might learn something that be of interest. That you might have a different view of that guy that passes by you with a cool gear every morning, and you might decide, okay, well, maybe he has a reason to do it. And there's a whole mental health issue that it can be covered. It can go many ways. But I just know from a personal experience and the community that I created around myself through running. It's quite amazing, and what we've done over the years in terms of fundraising. Right. And fundraising was only a part of it. It was always very much part of the journey. The journey was to create something that we can then replicate and fundraise for different companies and different organizations. The last thing I'm going to say, I'm also going to do a giveaway on the night. I'm just going to announce the next couple of days on. There'll be some gear to be won on the night, just in a structure from a local running company. So just it's as I say, so far it's been a great few years doing all these different shows with different guests, and the reaction has always been very good because, as I say, the stage is for the experts. It's not me. It's not my show. I'm just there to bring the subjects to.
To wrap up, given Greyzone's kind of generally we're on the up, there's a lot of successful people here. There's a lot of healthy people who do their early morning swim, people who do their early morning runs and all that. Is there any cure for the smugness though? Can you deal with the smugness? Is there any kind of way to bring people back from the edge of...
Well, I'm going to do a special show on that, and you and I can be on stage.
That'll do it, rock and roll.